Boone, and I am Vice President of the Calhoun County Sportfishing Club. And today I'm here with Bonnot, and we're going to do an interview. Okay, so can you tell me about yourself and how you became involved in CCA?
Sure. Yes. So I grew up in a rural community, Wharton, Texas, not too far from where we are now, and I enjoyed fishing as a kid. Always, my dad took me bank fishing all the time in the bays here near Port Lavaca, and it was always something that was important to me. And so I went into college and graduated with an animal science degree, and then from there I went and got a master's in marine science. Is really aquaculture and marine science mixed. And so I started working for Texas Parks and Wildlife Department and developed a relationship with Coastal Conservation Association through my work with Parks and Wildlife's hatchery program, where we take redfish and trout and release them back out into the wild to enhance the bays. And developed a relationship with Coastal Conservation Association, and they offered me a position, and I took that back in 2016. So I've been there now for 6 years.
Awesome. Okay, so what exactly is CCA?
Coastal Conservation Association, or CCA, is a nonprofit organization dedicated to enhancing our fisheries, and we do that through habitat work. We support habitat restoration projects. We'll do that through fisheries enhancement work, in which we support the Coastal Fisheries Stock Enhancement Program, which I used to work for, and we'll do that through policy, whether that be at the federal level or at the state levels, working with decision makers, policy makers, to ensure that we have sustainable and conservation-minded fisheries for present and future generations.
Awesome. Can you tell me about some of the projects and initiatives y'all have been working on?
Yeah, absolutely. We have, like I said, we do policy, we do habitat, we do enhancement. And so I'll touch on one of each, I suppose. We've been working on the policy side. We've been working to a lot lately with oysters and the Texas oyster fishery, and we're trying to see if there's a way to transition some of the fishery from a purely extractive methods of operation to something to where they're adding something into the bay. So we could do that through oyster farming, or we could do that through a lease program where oyster fishermen plant their shells back out into the water. So we're doing a lot to get materials and oyster shell back into the water as opposed to just taking it out. On the fisheries enhancement side, we're supporting our hatchery programs, and one area of focus right now is southern flounder. So we have very robust stock enhancement programs for red drum and for spotted sea trout. We'd also have a need to enhance the southern flounder population. So we've spent quite a bit of money supporting the hatcheries and getting them the buildings and infrastructure they need to have a robust southern flounder fisheries enhancement program. And then on the habitat side, our support is vast and broad. We're doing oyster restoration work. We're doing marsh plantings, nearshore reefing for reef fish species out in the Gulf of Mexico, and then any shoreline stabilization projects. We've spent about $3 to $4 million in oyster work, another $3 to $4 million in nearshore reefing, and then about $2 million on shoreline stabilization work in the past about 10 years or so. So we take money through our fundraising efforts and then distribute that back out into the resource in any way that we can. Like I said, through policy enhancement or habitat restoration.
That's great. So I've been hearing a lot about the CCA Fishing Tournament, and so can you tell me a little bit about its importance?
Yeah, so we have an annual tournament. It's called the Star. It initiated here in Texas, and so it's the State of Texas Angler Rodeo, and it started off as purely a tagged redfish tournament. So the redfish are tagged with just a dark tag. It sticks out of near the dorsal fin of the fish. And the tournament runs all summer long, Memorial Day to Labor Day. And we have wonderful sponsors that help us with the funding of that tournament. And if you catch a tagged redfish, you get a boat and a truck. So they're really, really nice prizes. And for us, it is a way to get people out on the water and encourage participation in the recreational fishing. And it's also a membership tool for us. We have this tournament, people will become members of CCA, and we're able to get information out to them that we think is important for the conservation of fisheries in our state. So we have about 30, well, it depends on the year, anywhere between 35 to 50,000 people in Texas participate in this tournament, and now it's expanded beyond just redfish. So this year, there's the tagged redfish division, there's a black drum division, there is a sheep's head, there's a number of offshore species, and then back inshore you can also weigh in gaff top. Most of the all of the tagged redfish now are all mandatory catch and release. The black drum, sheep's head, and gaff top, you take those after you catch them, take them to the weigh station. So those are killed, but we've really tried to transition a lot of the tournament to more catch and release.
That's good. Okay, so what can we do to support CCA's mission?
You know, the best thing you can do is to, whether it's CCA or any other nonprofit that you're passionate about, a conservation organization, is to get involved at your local chapter level. So whether that's CCA, Ducks Unlimited, you know, a number of the Bay foundations that we have across the coast, is to find your local chapter, become a member, and show up to their meetings and participate and engage, because conservation initiatives and programs are achieved at the local level, and it's that grassroots efforts that really makes the big difference in the impact that's required. So get involved at your local chapter level, become members of things, of organizations that have a mission that you align with. And so obviously I work for CCA and encourage people, if they care about the coast, to become CCA members, but I'm also a member of a number of other organizations personally with things that I care about outside of coastal fisheries. So get involved at that local level and become members.
That's awesome. Do you have anything else that you want others to know about CCA?
Well, I would say that you know, I've worked in academia in Virginia. I managed the oyster hatchery for Virginia Institute of Marine Science. I've worked for Parks and Wildlife Department, and I've worked for CCA. And one common thing across all three of those different sort of entities is that people in natural resources and people like you, they truly care about the future and the sustainability of our coastal environment. And so whether that's CCA or whoever else is supporting conservation on the coast, I would say, tell them thank you and tell them that we appreciate what you're doing, because most of the jobs in those spaces are not the higher paying jobs, and people get involved in those fields because they really care about it. And a lot of times the efforts that they are engaged in are thankless. So take the time when you talk to somebody that's in that field to say, hey, thanks for what you're doing, I appreciate it. And so I want to tell you that. Thank you for this opportunity, and thanks for what you're doing.
And thank you for what you're doing as well. That's awesome. Thank you so much for being here to interview with me today, and thank you for everything you've done for
Happy to do it, and thank you.